As I sit here in Donan's study, I suppose it's only right that the first relic in this book should be a reminder of my greatest failure. It is one of Elias's fingers, or what remains of it. He severed it during a blasphemous ritual in the sunken temple of the Death Speaker in Hawazar. Elias was a brilliant pupil, a mage of great talent and promise, and in him I once believed I glimpsed the future of the Horadrim. I did not see the darkness that lurked behind his ambition. I was blind to the signs of his capacity for treachery and evil. But I should have seen these things. If I had been a better, wiser teacher, perhaps he would have found a different path. If I had offered him the great purpose he craved, perhaps I would not be here right now, holding these charred bones. Elias exchanged this piece of his body for immortality. I would not discovered it, at great personal cost. It would have been unstoppable in his service to the demon Lilith, daughter of hatred, an outcome I shudder to contemplate. In the end, he was defeated, and I am left with this relic of his. I do not know what purpose these bone fragments could be put to. I fear they hold a residue of evil and could yet be the cause of future mischief and suffering. This cruel implement now tortures my mind as it once did flesh. Of the many depravities committed by Elias, I am perhaps most haunted by the ritual he attempted to perform on a witch named Thaisa, a profound sacrifice that would have allowed Andriel, maiden of anguish, to return to sanctuary. I sometimes hear Tassia screaming in my dreams, only this time I cannot save her as I did in the waking world. I cannot stop Elias from carving into her, and I must listen to her agony as I frantically search in vain. The chisel is made of heavy iron, and its cutting edge is still gleaming and sharp. Though its shape is simple, there is no grace in its line or form. I have cleaned it, and yet it retains a stain that is not rust. Its bloody inquest imprinted it with the very substance it sought, and this chisel drank deep from the blood of those it violated. I did not know Donan well. He was a fellow Horadrim, but other than that commonality, we shared few similarities, either in temperament or philosophy. Though we respected each other as colleagues, I cannot claim to have called him a friend for most of the years I knew him, nor would he have described me as such, until perhaps at the end. Now he is gone, slain in the depths of hell, and I sit here in his study, reading from his journals. They are bound in tooled leather, worn smooth and almost glossy from frequent handling, and they smell faintly of dried herbs, wood smoke, and the damp heath that covers much of Skosglen. Some of his writings are of a personal nature, rendered poignant and haunting by his death. Much of his work, however, is scholarly and quite brilliant. These pages remind me of the reason for the intellectual distance between us, though I am no longer as irritated by our familiar disagreements. In fact, I rather wish that he were here to tell me once again how my ideas are utter bollocks, and then we could go on bickering over his blind and unwavering faith. Two things are clear from his journals. Firstly, he possessed a keen and observant mind, and I would gratefully make use of the rich lore his journals contain to fill the gaps in my own recollections. Secondly, he loved his wife and son dearly. I am never married, but I did once love. As I read about Donan's life with Brega, I confess of twinges of envy, the wistful regret of an old man revisiting missed opportunities, wondering what might have been. In Donan's study, locked away in a small corner chest, I found something unusual. It is a book, notable not only for the fact that someone apparently tried to hide it, but also because it seems that someone tried to burn it. The leather binding and many of its pages are caked with soot that I cannot brush or swipe away. I cannot say with certainty what might be written beneath the ash of these pages. The few markings that remain legible unsettle me, for they describe certain places in the burning hells, as if by one who has seen them and yearns to return. I am troubled by the fact that someone tried to destroy this book with fire. That it survived the flames intact causes me dread. There is magic upon it, and I cannot discern whether it is blessed or cursed. I suspect the latter. Its unremarkable size and weight and lack of decoration somehow only add to its sinister qualities. A fragment from Donan's book. The realm of hatred, the glory of Mephisto touches every grain of sand and drop of blood. Sublime hymns of loathing are carried on the wind there, and at its center stands the citadel of hatred, the bastion of its lord. All who stand before its gates cower, overcome by its terrible majesty. Light a candle, cast a shadow, kindle a fire, darken the night. A common saying in the Western kingdoms and elsewhere, which I have heard repeated many times. I see the eternal conflict raging behind these few words. To the south of where now sit lie the fractured peaks, a mountainous region I recently called home. Even souls who choose to live here know it to be a forbidden and lonely place. To those seeking solitude and privacy, it can be a refuge. It is also a haunted land, scattered with ruins of a distant past, forgotten by all save a few. Beneath the icy crags and misty vales, deep underground near the very roots of sanctuary, there is a road paved with ancient mosaic tile. It is called the Path of the Firstborn, and its imagery depicts the history of our world, which you must know if you are to understand the nature of powerful relics. For untold eons the eternal conflict has raged between the demonic hordes of the burning hells and the angelic host of the high heavens. Scholars have spilled gallons of ink and spent their eyesight in dim scriptoriums, writing and debating how these two factions began and what came before them. Perhaps the tale of the great warrior Anu and his battle with the seven-headed dragon Taphamet is a metaphor, or perhaps it contains literal truth. Donan believed it to be true, according to his journals, whereas I suspect it is a story crafted to keep angels in a position of eternal primacy over humanity. Even Tyrael, who was once an angel, described this story as legend. Regardless of how the eternal conflict came to be, the angelic forces led by the Angiers Council had successfully fought countless battles against the armies of the seven demon lords who sought to conquer all of creation. Though the high heavens always defeated their adversaries, they also failed to destroy them, allowing evil to return again and again and again. This endless cycle is the reason one archangel, Elias, eventually concluded that the war could never be won, and he resolved to abandon it. His path eventually brought him before the demon Lilith, daughter of hatred, a meeting to which humanity owes its existence. Elias and Lilith, angel and demon, I wonder if the cosmos had ever contemplated such an unholy alliance and divine union. I wonder if creation shuddered in horror and awe as Elias and Lilith swayed others to their cause. Because of this, I often thought that the eternal conflict would better be named the eternal stalemate. As they plotted and stole the World Stone, the heart of creation, and used its unimaginable power to shape a new world for themselves, a sanctuary hidden from their former realms and rulers, as they produced offspring. The joining of opposing natures within the firstborn made their children into beings unlike any before, beautiful abominations called Nephilim, from which humanity would one day descend as inheritors of both lineages. The birthrights of the firstborn graced them with power to resist the evil of the burning hells, and to defy the dominion of the high heavens. Because of this, many feared what these children might become. Surely, Elias and Lilith could not have foreseen the cosmic consequences of their actions. Nor was their love to last, if their bond could ever be described using such a word. Perhaps what followed simply proved that the eternal conflict was, and forever shall be, inescapable. For even Elias and Lilith inevitably fought against each other over the fate of their children. In doing so, they ignored one of the plainest and simplest of truths that every human parent knows. Children grow up. Something done unlearned all too painfully. Perhaps it was unavoidable that Rathma, eldest of the firstborn, would refuse the rule of both angel and demon. He led a rebellion that became a war, after which sanctuary could no longer remain hidden from either heaven or hell. That is when the battlefield of the eternal conflict shifted to the terrain of the human soul. Since then, we have been caught up in a fight that is not ours, forced to endure incalculable pain and suffering we do not deserve. This knowledge fills me with rage. Anger is useless in matters of fate. We are what we are and must deal with what is. That is what the Horadrim were meant to do. The history of our order begins with Tyrael, who assembled a group of powerful mages. He called these first Horadrim to stand for justice and light, and he tasked them with the defense of humanity against the prime evils, Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo, demon lords who were banished to Sanctuary. Many Horadrim have died in service to this cause. Some fell to corruption, such as Elias and others before him. Let their failure stand as a warning that to confront evil is often to be tempted by it.